Hi everybody, I'm Pat Patterson, the Racing Guy. Welcome to the Racing Guy YouTube channel, where we're always having some fun here, and I'm glad that you have tuned in for us today. You know, I've been doing this stuff for over 40 years, and television was a big part of my career. So we thought, you know, it might be cool to look back at some of the TV stuff over the years right here on our very own YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you subscribe and like our channel, well, you'll automatically be eligible each and every month as we give away some really cool stuff from all of our current sponsors that are with us each and every week on shows like SiriusXM NASCAR's The Front Stretch, some of our track specials that we do, all kinds of fun stuff right here on our YouTube channel. So let's go back into the Pat Patterson Wayback Machine. Let's go all the way back to 1993. Now, you know the Cup schedule these days doesn't go to Atlanta until a bit later on in the year. But back in 1993, the Cup cars went to the Atlanta Motor Speedway really early in the spring. And we had a little thing that we like to call our Winston Cup specials, Pat Patterson's Winston Cup specials. It's where we would sit down with various different drivers and talk with them about their current situation. Back then, it was the Busch Grand National Series, by the way, for what we now call Xfinity. And, of course, the Cup Series now, back in the day, well, it was the Winston Cup Series, that is for sure. So this is our Winston Cup special going back to March 20th, 1993. Atlanta Motor Speedway. Remember the race down there was a long one. It was a 500-miler, 228 laps. Atlanta Motor Speedway, of course, a mile-and-a-half racetrack. In this particular race, which would happen later on in the weekend, there were 19 lead changes. 82,000 people were in attendance this weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And let me tell you some of the guests that were on our show. You'll enjoy seeing this. Steve Grissom, which was one of the best Xfinity Series drivers in the day. Of course, it was Busch Grand National, and he was a champion. Steve's going to appear on this edition of our show. Rick Mast from Rock Ridge, Bass, Virginia. Always one of our favorite guys to talk to back in the day. You remember Rick. You'll certainly remember him from this interview. Barry Dodson, the late Barry Dodson, who was crew chief, of course, going back with Tim Richmond. He and Harold Elliott had it all going on, the old Blue Max team back in the day. Loved Barry, and I still miss him to this day. There's a kid, by the way, from New England called Jeffrey Bodine. Back in the day, we called him Jeff Bodine. Jeffrey will join us on this program as well. And speaking of Jeffs, how about Jeff Burton? Jeff Burton, that's right, the guy that'll be in the booth with the NBC broadcast these days. Well, back then, yep, he was wearing a fire suit and he was making a name for himself. Jeff Burton will join us on this show as well. By the way, you see I got my Ford hat on. Guess who won the race? This one in 1993. It was none other than Morgan Shepherd. In fact, the top five, when they finished up that weekend at this Winston Cup special run, it was Morgan Shepherd, Ernie Irvan, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, and Ricky Rudd. So let's go back and relive a little bit of the preparation for this big race at Atlanta Motor Speedway in a Pat Patterson Winston Cup special. Don't forget, when you come back to our YouTube channel, if you don't see my face, you're not in the right place.
From Atlanta, Georgia, the Pat Patterson Winston Cup Specials.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Atlanta Winston Cup Specials. We're at the beautiful Atlanta Airport Hilton, located some 20 miles away from the racetrack. This will be round number 4 for the Winston Cup cars. 3 different winners so far, and of course this weekend is going to be a chilly one for both the Busch Grand National Series and the Winston Cup Series. More on that in just a few moments. We got a great show for you tonight from Atlanta. Joining us in just a few moments, Jeff Burton will be with us. Also, Steve Grissom will be along. Rick Mast will be here. Barry
Dodson will be along, and the pilot of the Motorcraft Igloo 4, Jeff Bodine, also will join us. So a really great show. First of two nights will be here in Atlanta. Want to welcome a brand new sponsor to the Pat Patterson Winston Cup Specials. Competition Cams joins us with our broadcast here in the Atlanta area, and we look forward to being with you for the next hour and then again tomorrow night. So without further ado, we'll take this commercial time out, or excuse me, I will look at the Busch Grand National qualifying today from the racetrack prior to taking the commercial time out. As you can see, Mark Martin is on a roll. Winner of 2 events already this year, and Martin qualifies in the #1 spot. Bill Elliott, local favorite here in the Atlanta area, qualifies 2nd. Ken Schrader's 3rd. Dale Earnhardt 4th. Ward Burton will be 5th, qualifying for this weekend's event. And now we'll take a look at the rest of the qualifying order for this weekend's Busch Grand National race here in Atlanta. Once again, we are glad you've joined us for this second of our Winston Cup specials. Of course, we're down in Daytona for 5 nights, and we'll be here for 2. We'll take this commercial time out. We'll come back with our very first guest right after this.
The Pat Patterson Winston Cup Specials. Brought to you in part by Max Race Cards. Max Race Cards, the only place to find all of NASCAR's superstars. And by Rainex. Rainex, the invisible windshield wiper.
Catch all of NASCAR's future stars and superstars in the 1992 Max Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set. It comes complete with 300 gold foil stamp cards, numbered binder, and enough pages to hold the entire collection. As an added bonus, it also includes 10 Racing Legends cards, created exclusively for Max by NASCAR's premier illustrator, Sam Bass. To order your Max Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set, call 1-800-846-MAXX.
We're behind the Slick 50 racing team all the way, but then so is most everyone else. Now your car can have the same premium engine protection that's helping Slick 50 become a NASCAR winner. For the car you drive, for the way you drive. Slick 50, high performance engine formula.
And welcome back to the beautiful Atlanta Hilton, the Atlanta Airport Hilton, I might point out. Glad you've joined us tonight for our first Winston Cup special from here in Atlanta. Joining me right now is Jeff Burton. Jeff, of course, is the driver of the #8 Baby Ruth Ford. He's in his 2nd season with the Filmer Racing operation, 1st year with the Baby Ruth sponsorship, and has a number of Busch Grand National wins. Didn't do real well in qualifying for today's, or for Saturday's race, I should say, but nevertheless, it's not how you qualify, but how you finish. I know you guys are looking forward to it.
Well, I was watching your rundown of where we qualified. My name never came up. It was so far down the list, but that was yesterday. Once tomorrow, well, actually that was today, but when tomorrow comes around, we'll forget about it and get ready for the race. And really, you have to put that in the back of your mind. That's part of racing that you hate to live with, but it's part of racing you have to live with. You guys, both yourself and your brother, have worked so hard in this division of NASCAR to accomplish a lot of things, and certainly one of those biggest accomplishments is that sponsor that you have on the race car, and to have somebody that's been as visible as Baby Ruth has been, and to have the kind of financial backing it takes, I know it means a lot to you. Yeah, it means an awful lot to Ward and I both. Ward signed with Hardee's this year, and that's a tremendous restaurant chain, and it's really meant a lot to his team. And, of course, Baby Ruth, when they came on to our team, really had a big impact on us because the success that they had last year was tremendous. And for them to come to our team, and obviously they thought we could carry on that success. We have some awfully big shoes to fill, but it meant a lot to have that vote of confidence from them.
Do the shoes get a little tight when you go and you don't have the kind of start to the season that you'd like to have? It's so tough when you start off down in Daytona with the competition the way it is, and then of course Rockinham's no picnic, neither is Richmond or this place for that matter. Of course, this will be the first time we really get to see how these cars do down here.
Well, fortunately we started off fairly well this year, and that's helped us with momentum. It's got us going well, and this is our first low period of the year. Of course, it's early in the year, so we're not expecting a whole lot of low periods, but we're experiencing one now, and how you handle them is what makes you a good race team. If you pout about it and cry about it all night long, qualifying bad, you're not going to do well tomorrow. You kind of have to figure out what you did wrong, and just tomorrow figure out what it takes to make this race car go fast. As far as the pressure, I think we have a lot of internal pressure because we want to do well. There's no outside pressure. I don't think any outside pressure can be as great as the internal pressure of a racer or any competitor in any kind of sport that there is, because there's only one thing that counts, and that's winning.
Well, I keep talking about this at a lot of the events we go to where they're companion events, where there's Busch Grand National, Winston Cup. But I drove up this morning to the Speedway. Of course, the Winston Cup cars were just checking in tonight and tomorrow morning. So the Winston Cup garage was totally empty. And Burton Smith and his group have done such a fine job here and built a very, very nice facility. I went over to Busch Grand National garage and I said, gosh, I mean, this looks almost identical to what you'd see in a Winston Cup garage in terms of sponsors that are there, Winston Cup guys that are there. It really has become a huge business for Busch Grand National.
It's amazing what's happened over the last 2 years. When you, like you say, when you pull into a Busch garage, you've got the 18-wheelers, the real nice trucks, you got the real nice cars. Every team has professional people working on it. I've been in this division for this is my 5th year. And the difference between 1989 and 1993, you just cannot describe the difference. It's amazing that things have progressed this fast. It's caused some problems because the expenses have gone up probably 100% in the last 5 years, but with the influx of the new sponsors, that's really helping. And the series grew so fast, it was kind of hard for everybody to keep up, but I think it's going to kind of settle down and get us right back to where we were.
Is the amount of racing you did in late model cars and growing up in the sport of auto racing, is that absolutely a necessity today for Busch Grand National Racing? It would appear with the level of competition, you just can't come into this deal cold anymore.
I don't see how you could compete in any division without competing in a division lower than it to begin with. Even the late model cars, the competition there is tremendous. If you don't run a class below that before you get there, you're in a lot of trouble because you'll get beaten real bad every week and then you get down. I don't think that I could have been where I am today without a lot of late model experience, without wrecking a lot of late model cars, and I did my share of wrecking them, and that's really the only way to learn, and that's by messing up. And when you're messing up a $10,000 car, it's a lot better than messing up a $15,000 car. And it teaches you how to handle success and failures, and there are more failures than there are success, and you have to learn how to handle it.
What do you like or dislike about this racetrack as it relates to a Busch Grand National car?
I tell you, it's really fast, and I like fast racetracks. We didn't qualify well. We didn't run well here the last race. We got in the big wreck on the 5th lap, but it's going to be a really good place for Busch cars. We're going to put on some good shows here. And what's going to happen, you'll see over the next 4 or 5 years, the Busch guys will start running a lot better against the Winston Cup guys. I know a Busch guy won the race last year, but all the way through the field, it was, the top 6 or 7 were Winston Cup guys except for the winner. I think you probably won't see that this year. I think you'll see more Winston Cup guys up front. But next year you'll see a few Busch guys, and the next year you'll see more Busch guys. And that's the way it's going to be. And we're going to get beat up the first few years because you just can't beat experience. When Jeff Bodine and Bill Elliott been running here for 10, 12, 15 years, and I rolled in this morning, and that's the second time I've ever seen the place. It's pretty hard to compete against that.
Yeah, I do stand corrected. This is the second Busch Grand National race rather than I referred to it being the first time that the cars have been here. Are you a better race car driver now than you were 4 years ago, or are you just driving better equipment now than you had 4 years ago?
Well, I hope I'm a better race car driver because I feel like I am. I know that my equipment's better, but you get better equipment as you become a better driver. A lot of people say that some people get good rides and that's why they're successful, but that's part of being successful is positioning yourself to get the right ride. And I tell you, these car owners that are spending as much money as they're spending, they're not going to put you in the car if they can't get the job done.
Do you have a way of yourself gauging what success means for an individual race? In other words, you got a car that qualifies maybe 30th and you manage to finish 10th. I mean, how do you go about saying what's going to be successful that day and not be successful?
Well, if we qualify 35th and finish 10th, I'm going to leave here real happy. I can tell you that. But, you know, anytime we go to a racetrack, and we've been there a few times, we want to go there and qualify in the top 10, and we want to go there and win the race. And you can't win all the races. If you win one or two, you've had a really good year. But it all depends on the situation. Once a race, every race changes in the race. At one point in the race, you think you're going to win the race, and then 20 laps later, you're saying there's no way I can ever win this race. So you have to set a goal to win that race. But when it gets to a point where you can't win it, you have to realize it and finish as high as possible.
Is this year perhaps the best opportunity you feel that you've had from a financial, mental, physical state of being to go and really contend for a championship?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I think my team is ready. I believe that as a unit, we really worked well together, and it was our first year. And we should only improve on that. So I'm looking forward to it. We had a lot of problems last year with reliability. A lot of weird things happened. We're trying to put that behind us. We're trying to stay out of wrecks that, you know, you really shouldn't get into. And if we do those two things, we should be a contender.
We wish well. Hope it's a good, safe race. Hope it happens on Saturday. We'll get in the weather forecast in just a minute, but appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you.
And,
I enjoyed it.
Good luck this weekend. All right, we'll have more from the Atlanta Airport Hilton as our Winston Cup special continues right after these messages.
Catch all of NASCAR's future stars and superstars in the 1992 Max Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set. It comes complete with 300 gold foil stamp cards, numbered binder, and enough pages to hold the entire collection. As an added bonus, it also includes 10 Racing Legends cards, created exclusively for Max by NASCAR's premier illustrator, Sam Bass. To order your Max Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set, call 1-800-846-MAXX.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rainex, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. With Rainex, you'll feel safer driving in the rain. Go out and get your Rainex today.
When winners head to the track, they go with competition cams. We're simply the best. Competition cams provide explosive power and unequaled reliability. That's why, hands down, we win. At Competition Cams, you get the same world-class service as a Winston Cup team. Customized camshafts in 24 hours at no extra cost. You see, we provide solutions. For technical help from the Valtrain experts or the dealer nearest you, call 1-800-999-0853. Competition Cams, we're winning with innovations.
Welcome back, everybody, as we are getting ready for this weekend's Busch Grand National race and Winston Cup race out at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I understand there are still some seats out there. Also understand that the weather forecast for Saturday is snow, sleet, and whatever. And, of course, we'll just all have to wait and see, what the weather does to the Busch Grand National race on Saturday. But hopefully keep your fingers crossed, and we'll have some good weather, and they'll get it in. Joining me right now is a man who currently is fourth in the Busch Grand National point standings, driver of the Channel Lock machine on the BGN Tour. Steve Grissom is here. Steve, thanks very much for stopping by. I'm going to keep what we were talking about with Mr. Burton here a moment ago rolling along. How do you gauge whether you're improving in a race or you're falling back, or how do you walk away from the car and say, hey, I did all right today. I didn't win, but I did okay?
Well, I'll tell you, on this Busch Series, the competition's so competitive. If you're running fifth, you're having to run as hard as you can, and if you run 25th, you're having to run as hard as you can. The main thing is if you can load up at the end of the day and carry everything home that you brought.
If you go home in one piece, you're in good shape, right?
That's a pretty good day. But, again, the competition there, and you know that you're running as hard as you can, and if you can, move up and run, say, in the top 10 or something like that, you've had a good day.
Well, you've had some good days, and 6 career wins in the Busch Grand National Series. It is like no other feeling you can have to win a race?
I'll tell you, winning, that's it. That's what it's all about. And what it does to you as a driver and what it does to the team, it just, boosts that confidence. And you just go from there, and then it just seems like everything goes right from there on. So, it's something we all look forward to doing, and it's what we try to do.
Would you describe the last year or so as perhaps being a reevaluation year for you guys? It was not the greatest of times, and certainly I know that you want to get everything back in order so that you are competitive week after week. Are you there? Have you regained what you certainly led you to 6 victories?
Well, we're getting close. It's one of those things that last year was, if it could go wrong, it went wrong. I mean, from motors or flat tires or whatever. It was just one of those deals. And, I got to say, the guys on the crew, they kept their heads up, kept working. Over the winter, we built 3 new cars, changed the engine program. So, we're just excited about 93 and looking forward to getting on into it.
All right, what about this racetrack? And again, we're all going to hope for good weather on Saturday and hope that you guys have got a good crowd out there to watch. What about this racetrack? Do you like the racetrack? And if not, what don't you like about it?
No, I really like it. I tell you, this racetrack here is kind of like a short track. It's not really like a Daytona, Talladega super speedway drafting. It's the corners are twice as long as the straightaways here, and you kind of run it like you do a short track. So I think it, that kind of helps the Busch guys a little bit. But we got several Winston Cup guys in the field, and they run twice a year here, 500 miles, and this is our 2nd race. So we got a lot to learn yet.
Physically, as far as this racetrack, is it physically demanding, or is it much like a lot of the speedways where you've got a little time to relax in the car?
Well, you run so fast here, you got to stay on your toes. But as far as being physical on you, it's not like Bristol or Dover or somewhere South Boston, Orange County, something like that, where you're turning all the time. So it's it's not that bad physically on you.
Having fun in this business seems to be a real shortage. It seems like everybody is, and even in Busch Grand National today, and I'm going to talk some more with some Winston Cup guys that will join us in a few minutes about the fact that it just doesn't seem like everybody's having as much fun as they used to. Is that because of the money and because of the pressure that's involved now? It seems like 4 or 5 years ago was a lot more joking and a lot more relaxed atmosphere amongst the competitors, particularly in Busch Grand National. But that's sort of changed over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, it has, and I tell you, the last 4 years, that there wasn't the sponsorship there, the TV wasn't there, the media coverage wasn't there. So if you didn't have a good weekend this weekend, not that many people knew about it. And now about all of our races are on television, all of them's on the radio. You got the sponsors, and it makes you put a little pressure on yourself, and it does kind of take some of the fun out of it. But we all still enjoy it, and that's why we do it.
I didn't get a chance to ask Jeff Burton about this a minute ago, but pit stops here for you guys, obviously always important, but any more or less important or any more or less difficult for you here at Atlanta versus maybe a Charlotte or a Darlington, somewhere like that?
Well, I don't really think so. We kind of changed from race to race what the tire route is going to be, so we kind of have to wait till, I guess, Saturday they make up their mind what we're going to do as far as pitting. And it's been being where we just get 4 tires to run the entire race, so you got that one pit stop, so it's not really any more difficult here than it is any other race.
We talked a little bit about people's careers and how getting into a Busch Grand National car today does require some racing prior to walking up and buying one of these things and going out and doing it, unless you have very, very deep pockets. But certainly in your career, all the racing you did prior to getting into a Busch Grand National car had to make a big difference in how well you exceed at this.
Well, it does. I tell you, we started in All Pro, and that's a competitive circuit right there. But most important, I think, is being able to tour and travel around different racetracks. We ran anywhere from San Antonio, Texas to Montreal, Canada, about everywhere in between. So we kind of got the feel of going around different racetracks and stuff instead of running Friday night, Saturday night races, 25 laps.
You got a fan club?
We're in the process of getting one started now. We hadn't got it started
That's another thing that's very interesting to me is that it seems like every Busch Grand National guy now has a big fan club. And I'm like, man, this thing is just growing to the point where it exceeds everybody's imaginations. But the truth is there is almost a division of people that just follow Busch Grand National racing just as much as the Winston Cup stuff. They watch both, but they show up at a lot of the Winston Cup races, the Busch Grand National races.
That's true. I tell you, when the Busch cars run at short tracks on the standalone shows, most of the places the stands are completely full. So we do have a good following with the Busch Grand National Series. And then when we come to the speedways, we get some of the Winston Cup fans in there on Saturday to watch our race. So it's really a popular series.
Is there any mental adjustment for you? Do you like going to, say, a Hickory, North Carolina, where, everybody that can sit on anything that even looks like a seat is sitting there, and going to a major speedway where people are, a lot further away from the racetrack? Talking about the fans, does it give you any different feeling about the event itself from where they're at?
Not really. I tell you, it's one of those things that you have to concentrate on what you're doing, whether you're at Hickory or at Daytona. Don't really have a lot of time to look up and see who's in the stands and how close they are and stuff. Our practice times are kind of limited, and it takes about all the time we got there to get the car dialed in, get ready for the race.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Jeff in leaving. Is this your best opportunity, you think, to be a serious contender for a championship? Certainly being fourth in the points right now doesn't hurt, but it's a long way to go.
Oh, it is a long way to go, and I really think we've got a shot at it. I tell you, we've got a good crew put together. These guys work hard, got a good attitude. We've got good motors, good cars. From here, it's not really magic. It's just hard work and good communication, and hopefully we'll be at the head table come into the year.
Well, don't forget your toboggan and your warm mittens tomorrow for standing around the racetrack. Look like it's going to be a cold one, but we wish you well. Hope it's a good race for you come Saturday here.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, Steve Grissom. We've got more from Atlanta, and we'll come back with our next guest right after you watch these messages.
Catch all of NASCAR's future stars and superstars in the 1992 Mast Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set. It comes complete with 300 gold foil stamp cards, numbered binder, and enough pages to hold the entire collection. As an added bonus, it also includes 10 Racing Legends cards, created exclusively for Mast by NASCAR's premier illustrator, Sam Bass. To order your Mast Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set, call 1-800-846-MAXX.
We're behind the Slick 50 racing team all the way, but then so is most everyone else. Now your car can have the same premium engine protection that's helping Slick 50 become a NASCAR winner. For the car you drive, for the way you drive. Slick 50, high performance engine formula.
Welcome back to the Atlanta Airport Hilton, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson. Glad you've joined us tonight for our first night of Winston Cup specials, getting ready for this weekend's Motorcraft 500 out at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. My next guest is doing a lot of double duty this year, and both in the Winston Cup ranks as a full-time competitor and doing quite a bit in the Busch Grand National Series as well. Rick Mast joins us, and we'll start off by congratulating you on some great qualifying efforts so far this year. Of course, today was not as good as the last two that you've had, but nevertheless, you got a good qualifying motor for this Busch Grand National car.
Yeah, we did at Richmond anyhow. I think we qualified 22nd today in Atlanta, but I feel pretty good. This particular car didn't even make the race at Daytona, so we brought it here and we worked on it some. I guess I'm like 20 spots better than I was at Daytona, but we still got a lot of work to do in this car yet.
Now, do you have a new engine builder for both programs, for both the Busch Grand National and the
I have Jim Ruggles still does my engines in the Busch car.
And that car was the one that is this the Ruggles motor that sat on the pole at Richmond last weekend, right?
Yeah, that was a Ruggles motor. Yeah.
What happened to the car? I never did. I know that you had some problem there early on into the race.
Well, about the 10th lap, my brake pedal went to the floor. We don't use a lot of brakes at Richmond anyhow in the Busch cars, but you got to have a little bit of brake pedal. We use dual master cylinders, and when we lost the brakes on the front wheels, I still had brakes on the back wheels, which means you really got a disaster happening. If you try to touch the brakes real hard, it just kicks the back out. It makes the car want to spin around. We're real fortunate to finish 8th, or we finished on the lead lap, and I felt real fortunate to do that. If the car hadn't been working as good as it was, I don't think we'd have done that.
Certainly, everyone's trying to figure out why Mark Martin is so fast in his machine. He's done extremely well with all the Busch Grand National races so far that he's run this year. Now, you're one of the guys that made the transition from driving Busch Grand National cars to being a full-time Winston Cup competitor, and certainly Steve Grissom and Jeff Burton both would like to be doing exactly that. The preparation that it gave you had to be, invaluable.
Well, in my particular case, I probably did it different than a lot of guys did it, and different than a lot of guys are doing it right now. Through the years, we ran the Busch circuit in really very limited funding, and I did a lot of the work myself, and I had a couple of guys that worked for us part-time, never really any full-time people, and never really any good funding, you might say. And I guess it made me very humble, to do all the work ourselves, and that's one of the reasons I think it took us so long. There's some other guys in Winston Cup right now that kind of came along that same line, and lived in trailers and outside of race shops, and didn't see their families much. But I think it makes you a little stronger when you get to Winston Cup.
Well, certainly when you walk into the garage like at Atlanta today, you have to have sort of the same view that I've had in what we used to walk into, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, the Busch Grand National Garage at Charlotte. You might see, 8 or 10 cars that had some major name or company involved in it. But you walked in that garage today in Atlanta, and it looked just like a Winston Cup garage. Every single car in there has some major company involved with it. It's incredible how far that has come.
Yeah, they've got big tractor trailers too. In fact, a lot of those guys got nicer rigs than some of us got in the Winston Cup.
Well, I finally figured out that that's the whole deal, is that the Winston Cup guys are really in charge of all the inflation that has gone into Busch Grand National, because they had to sell those old trailers of theirs to somebody, so they went down and talked to you, the Busch Grand National guys, into buying them.
Yeah, I've still got a little one right now. I don't have one of those big dudes yet, but maybe someday that day's coming.
What about the Winston Cup program for you this year?
Well,
certainly, I know you guys are really looking to do things this year with that program.
The last third of last season, I guess we ran better than we had the whole time I've been with Richard Jackson, and basically we didn't really do anything different other than the guys. We started communicating better. The guys kind of got their act together. The attitudes were better. In Winston Cup racing, I tell people this all the time, but from the top team to the bottom team, you've got good people working on these cars. I don't mean just the drivers. I mean the people that work on these cars are all just excellent workers. Everybody, they're so good at what they do, from the top team to one of the lesser teams. And something has to separate the guys that win every week from the guys that run last every week. And most of the time, or a lot of the times, it's just simply attitudes and communication on the team. And it's hard to get that mix just right. And if you can ever achieve that, then you'll have, you'll head down the road for success.
Is there that much parity? Even starting at the top team and going all the way back down?
I think it is with the people that actually work on the race car. You can take, and you see it happen sometimes. You'll see a team that you don't know much about, a bunch of guys on the team that you never heard of, and all of a sudden they run good for a few races, And then you get to hearing about the guys' names, and they, just 2 months ago they were running last, and all of a sudden they've got a chance to win. And, the competition in Winston Cup is just so great now, so close. Something has to separate all these things out, and I think the communication and attitude has a lot to do with that. So anyhow, the last third of last season, we kind of got our act together in that end of it, and they started getting my engines running a lot better. And we ended up a year on a good note here at Atlanta. We won the pole, but we got taken out the second lap. We didn't get
set a track record in terms of speed. First time anybody got over, I guess, 180.
180, yeah. That was a good run for us. It's a shame we had to get taken out so early because the car was fast. It really was running good. But it kind of carried over into this year. Of course, we switched to Fords, and that put us behind a little bit. But we went to Daytona and we qualified 7th. We finished 12th. We go to Rockingham, qualify 4th, and have problems. We go to Richmond, qualify outside pole, and have problems. But the thing is, we have these problems, but at least we're making headway. We're running pretty good.
They're not the same problems week after week.
No, it's a little different problem every week. It's pretty tough sometimes.
I would imagine that if I drove these cars year after year after year, you begin to develop attitudes at the first of the season, and those attitudes can be dangerous to whether or not what your attitude's going to be like all year long. Do you look at the first 4 races and say, oh, it's going to be another one of those years, or do you look at it and really take it race by race to not get in the wrong frame of mental?
Yeah, I tell you the way I look at it, honestly. We've had so much adversity the last couple of years. The only way I look at it right now is when I left the Busch Grand National Division, we were one of the 2 or 3 cars every week when we unloaded that everybody in the garage there put their stopwatch on and said, "That's we got to outrun that car. If we're going to win, that's one of the cars we got to outrun." My goal in Winston Cup is to get to that point. Every time we unload every week, not just a race every now and then, but every week when we unload, I want the people in the garage area clocking the number 1 Skoal car, saying that's one of the cars we're going to have to outrun this week.
Final question for you. You like this racetrack, and is this a percentage of more car, less driver? I mean, is this a good driver racetrack, or is it a racetrack that you really got to have a good piece to be able to keep up in front?
Well, you mix in a good bit of aerodynamics here on the race car, but I think the car really has to work good. You can run good for a lap or 2 on tires and a good horsepower motor, but to run good in the race, you've really got to handle good, and you've really got to drive it hard here. This is one track you do have to drive real hard.
Well, you rode a couple good days. Maybe you'll have them Saturday and Sunday. We certainly wish you the very best and appreciate you stopping by with us tonight.
You, Pat.
Rick Mast, we'll be back with more from the Atlanta Airport Hilton and our Winston Cup special right after you take a look at these commercials.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rainex, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. With Rainex, you'll feel safer driving in the rain. Go out and get your Rainex today.
When winners head to the track, they go with competition cams. We're simply the best. Competition cams provide explosive power and unequaled reliability. That's why, hands down, we win. At Competition Cams, you get the same world-class service as a Winston Cup team. Customized camshafts in 24 hours at no extra cost. You see, we provide solutions. For technical help from the valvetrain experts or the dealer nearest you, call 1-800-999-0853. Competition Cams, we're winning with innovations.
Catch all of NASCAR's future stars and superstars in the 1992 Mast Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set. It comes complete with 300 gold foil stamp cards, numbered binder, and enough pages to hold the entire collection. As an added bonus, it also includes 10 Racing Legends cards, created exclusively for Mast by NASCAR's premier illustrator, Sam Bass. To order your Mast Race Cards 5th Anniversary Deluxe Set, call 1-800-846-MAXX.
Welcome back to Atlanta, everyone. One of the teams that certainly is always a factor in all Winston Cup races and has been for the last few years, certainly would like to get back in the win column a little bit more frequently, is, of course, Darrell Waltrip's Western Auto team. His crew chief joins me right now, Barry Dodson. And with Richmond, you did pick it up a little bit in terms of probably another, kind of a slow start in 1993. But you guys qualified well and finished in the top 10 up there at Richmond. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much, Pat. We did get off to a slow start, and I was a little bit concerned, but Darrell said that was normal for him. It's the best finish he'd had coming out of the Daytona 500 since he's been a car owner. And went to Rockingham and had a little bit of misfortune, but yet got the car back in the race for a decent finish. And went to Richmond and qualified much better than he had in the past. And we feel like we took a first or second place car at worst and finished 8th with it, just not being able to get out of the pits, and we've worked on that this week.
You guys, particularly you, picking up with a brand new deal this year and really having to give the kind of effort that it takes to not only get in and do the regular work that's there, but to also gel together with the team itself. Has that been difficult, or has it been a pretty good transition, an easy transition for you?
Well, there's no way it could have been difficult for me, the things that have happened to me in the past here, especially with a young group of guys like he has over there. They got a lot of determination and motivation and desire to win. A lot of them don't have a lot of experience, and we're working on that. We're pulling the same wagon, and it's a lot of what Andy Petrie's going through at the 3-car. You know, he stepped into a group of people that have been there in the past. So as far as that goes, we both had the same challenge, and it's going well. I'm happy again, and I feel like I did 3 or 4 years ago.
Did the fact that Darrell Waltrip had you come to work there, that had to kind of shoot some confidence back into you that you desperately needed at that time?
I did need it. You know, I questioned myself a few times and went through some tough times at Team 3, and then you'd put a great driver in the car, Jimmy Hensley and Dorsey Schrader up at the Glen, and all of a sudden you think, well, maybe we haven't forgotten how to race. And we had some good runs last year with Derek Cope, you know, and sitting at home all of a sudden, season had begun, and I'm thinking, you know, what's going to happen here? Is somebody trying to tell me to do something else? And then old DW calls. And we went in and talked, and it didn't take 5 minutes. I said, we don't want to talk money. We don't want to talk contracts. You know, I just want to pay my bills. I need you right now. And if you need me as much as I need you, everything's going to be okay.
In your opinion, has Darrell Waltrip still got the kind of winning capabilities that a crew chief is looking for in a driver that led him to the championships that he's won? Certainly physically he's very capable of winning, but he's still got the desire, Barry, that's going to lead him to another championship.
You know, I don't know him that well, but being around people that do know him, I think the desire is there as much, if not more than ever, because he's a car owner. And you just had a car owner win a championship. And we've gone to Richmond and had what I consider a great run. And like I say, we messed up in the pits because we're new people, you know, new people at different places and trying to get that to gel. And we just left Darlington. We had a great test down there. We came out of Daytona better than he has come out of Daytona in the past. And I'm looking at points right now. He's won the championship. I won the championship. Odds are we won't win it this year, but we're going to be right there.
Have you changed your mental approach to doing your job, being that you've gone through some difficult, lean years?
I've not changed my mental approach. My confidence is back. And, you know, he's certainly helped instill that. I've always had the desire. I don't mind working, and our people don't. And it's just there's a good rhythm over there right now. And I see good things happening. And I feel good again. You know, my family tells me that, Daddy, you're like you were a while back. And I just got a glow inside me, and I'm really having fun racing.
They say that you can't create magic, that magic when it comes to a group of people gelling together and being the best that they can be, that you can't create that. Would you argue that point? Can you create magic in a group of people?
I would definitely argue that point. You know, that's what Rick Mast was trying to hit on a while ago, and he did. You can do a lot more with people than you can equipment and money. You know, money used to be the winner of races. It used to be this used to be the place where money bought speed and won races. Money is not the answer right now. It's just another component you have to have.
There's a lot of conversation about tire companies and involvement of tire companies, and I know that while we don't want to get into the particulars of what happened in the past, the radial tire that most everybody's racing, or everybody in Winston Cup is racing on right now, appears to have done two things. First of all, it got rid of a lot of injuries that we were suffering when we had some competition in that area. But the second thing it did was it seems like it tightened up the competition to a great deal. Is that true or false? Has it actually tightened up competition, or in a way have we taken some of the excitement out of the sport?
It's tightened up the competition tremendously. It'll take a car that's not very good and make it better, and it'll take the drivers that are used to sliding the cars around. They can't do that anymore. And we're not getting the caution flags that we used to have because these Goodyear radials are not blowing out. They're not cutting. And I was telling somebody a while ago, this is how competitive Winston Cup racing is right now. When it's coming down to who has the best pit crew, not the best driver, not the best car, and not the best engine necessarily. But now it seems like the win of the week, can be dictated on pit road. That's pretty tough.
Does it surprise you that there's been 3 different winners in 3 different races?
Not at all. You could see 15 this year. It's amazing. It's getting more and more competitive, and you ask yourself every winter, can it be more competitive? And it continues to be.
All right, you guys got a good car for here in Atlanta. It's going to be very cold, like 40-some degrees on Sunday.
Well, if hopefully we got a good car. It's a car I ran here last year. It's got a new body. It's all dressed up, and we feel good about it.
I want to wish you well. It's good to see you out there. I know that Darrell Waltrip will consider you an asset as long as you're there, and certainly appreciate you stopping by and seeing us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much for having us on.
All right, Barry Dodson, we're not done yet, so stick around. We got more to talk about, and we'll do that when we return to Atlanta Airport Hilton. We'll be right back.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rainex, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. With Rainex, you'll feel safer driving in the rain. Go out and get your Rainex today.
We're behind the Slick 50 racing team all the way, but then so is most everyone else. Now your car can have the same premium engine protection that's helping Slick 50 become a NASCAR winner. For the car you drive, for the way you drive. Slick 50, high performance engine formula.
And welcome back to our final segment here at the Atlanta Airport Hilton, our Winston Cup special for Thursday night. We'll be back tomorrow night here in Atlanta, and of course getting ready for this weekend's Motorcraft 500 Winston Cup race, and of course the Slick 50 300, which is scheduled to be run on Saturday. It's going to be a cold weekend, so if you're headed to Atlanta, bring your heavy coat and your mittens so that you can stay warm up there while you're watching them race. The gentleman who joins me now is currently 4th in the Winston Cup point standings, and of course he'd like to win this race because his sponsor has a big stake in the Sunday event. And Jeff Bodine, welcome. We're glad you're here. You have appropriately dressed with your turtleneck and leather hat. You're ready to brave the cold temperatures.
I already have a cold, so I'm all set. I got to sign this autograph for Pat. Excuse me a minute, folks.
Yeah, Jeff is so good to always take care of me with little treats and treasures like this. And
he promised we wouldn't do any autographs tonight, but here you are, Pat.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate
that. You can take that home,
that.
Put it in your
Thank you
elbow.
very much. Let me just get that tucked away here.
Here's your pen for
Appreciate
the next
that.
guy.
Autographs are very important, and I have my collection along with everybody else.
Probably a little more valuable now that we've done it on TV.
I'm sure if we can just keep the videotape with the card.
Got to be a worth.
You really
worth a nickel or something.
You know what this is all about when you talk about creating magic in race teams and having those kinds of seasons. You've had great seasons where everything clicks. You've had seasons that things didn't click. But certainly to stay in this game today, you do have to have some good communication with the guys you're racing with.
I believe in magic. I sure do. And every once in a while, that special day, you'll have that magical day. You'll do everything right. The pit crew will do everything right. The car will do everything right for you, and you'll end up in victory lane. And but you need it a lot deeper than just once in a while, that special day. You need it all year long nowadays because these teams are tough, just like all these other fellas have told you. The competition is brutal out here.
You haven't stole a lot of the limelight in terms of laps led or last lap dashes, except of course at Daytona where you had a good run at the leader on the last lap. But the consistency has been there through these first few races.
Well, I guess after you've been in racing as long as I have, I haven't been in Winston Cup that long, but overall, you learn a few things. And one thing is you need to finish races before you can win or before you can win a championship. And you can only do so much with what you've got. And there's some days out there you know you can't win. You don't have a chance at winning. So you just try to get the most out of that car without going too far, without crashing into the wall, without blowing the engine up, without doing something really stupid that'll cost you those valuable Winston Cup points. And this team is capable of winning the championship this year if we do everything right. And part of that is finishing the best you can with what you've got on that particular day. And now this team is good enough to win. And there's a lot of teams good enough to win, but on every race day, that's a lot to ask for, to be able to win every race. We know that's really not possible in this business anymore. So, hey, just do the best you can and try to do better next week.
It's hard to imagine for me that Jeff Bodine is become one of the veterans of the sport. When I remember back in 1982, as the graphic said when we were bumping into this, being the rookie of the series back then. But time really does move along. Is it more difficult now for you to want to finish in a car that you know is maybe only going to be a 14th or a 13th place finisher? Can you still keep yourself mentally tuned up in the race car when something goes wrong, you drop a valve, something happens, but you know you need the points? That's a hard job.
Well, that's no fun, but if you just have to focus in on what is going on. If you know you don't have a good enough car to win with, you just focus in on doing the best with that car you can. And sometimes that's more rewarding than even winning. You say, hey, it's kind of like the Daytona 500. We ended up third. Really, I mean, that car probably, maybe you should have finished 10th, maybe.
Why? Why were you there? I mean, we know that you got by the last couple of cars there to finish third behind Earnhardt, but what led to that all day long? Was it good pit stops, or was it just staying out of trouble? What was it?
Well, all of that. We had great pit stops, stayed out of trouble. But anymore Daytona racing with restricted places like a chess match, you just have to position yourself all day long and to get in the right position at the end of the race, a position that'll give you a win or a second or third or fourth. And that's kind of what I did. And our car handled great. It ran good. And but really, realistically, it wasn't that fast a car. I mean, you didn't see me out there leading everyone around. It just wouldn't do that. So I felt very gratified after that race, finishing third.
And that was 2 years in a row that you did finish third in the Daytona 500. The factor of fun in Winston Cup racing has diminished somewhat over the past 5 or 6 years. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, no, we still have fun out there. There's more pressure. Look, you got Motorcraft up here behind us. They're sponsoring this race this weekend. I drive their car. They want me to win. And, you know, they turn the screws up when it's their race. They really want you to perform every week, but especially when they sponsor the event. They want you to go out there and lead the laps and do everything that'll get their car on TV, everyone talking about it on the radio, and all the race fans jumping up and down cheering for it. So a lot of pressure, but you have to let them do that. That's part of their job. You do your job. Go out there and just do the best you can. I still have fun, believe me. I've been doing it a long time, and people say, well, how the heck can you still have fun? Mm-hmm. It's tough. You know, the races are long. You get out of there, sometimes you can't hardly walk.
Sure.
You know, I've had it where Kathy and my son Barry had to drag me up into the trailer. It's so hot and just wore right to a frazzle. Couldn't make a step, but we could make another lap if we had to. But it's still fun to us, even though it's all that bad sometimes. It still is a lot of fun.
Might mention that car is capable of winning here and has won in the past. Bud Moore's team has had a good success ratio at Atlanta. Is it this racetrack a ratio of car to driver here? How does it fall out?
Anymore, you better have the best of everything. Believe me, this is a fast racetrack. The fellas up here, I don't think, said anything about the speed here. I mean, Rick did set a record last year, 180. And that's absolutely unbelievable on a 1.5 mile racetrack. And the first time you go out there, the first time I go out there and make a fast lap, it just takes your breath away coming off turn 4. It's just so fast. You're driving into those corners wide open. I think top speed is almost 200 miles an hour entering the corners, 190 plus. So extremely fast. That makes it hard for us. It looks easy. Mm-hmm. You know, it's banked and it's nice and wide, and we just cruise around there. It looks awful easy, but it's really hard on the drivers, but you've got to have a good car to go along with that. If you don't have a good car, the driver can't make it go fast.
All right, hang around a second. We'll take one more commercial timeout. We'll get another question or two when we come back. We do have a little bit more, so hang around. We'll be back with a little bit more with Jeff Bodine right after this.
In our continuing search for the best of everything, our special segment today applies to all motorists. Straining to see through a rain-soaked windshield is no fun and can be unsafe, but there is a solution. It's called Rainex, the invisible windshield wiper. It dramatically improves wet weather visibility. After my first application, I was a true believer. With Rainex, you'll feel safer driving in the rain. Go out and get your Rainex today.